Greetings all, and welcome back to a new episode. I know many of you use these videos to help you sleep, so before we begin, I thought it would be fun for everyone to say hello and leave a comment letting me know where in the world you're tuning in from. Your engagement really makes this channel special. And hey, if you enjoy getting your nightly dose of thrills and chills with us, why not hit that subscribe button below? It's the best way to never miss out on the latest terrifying tales. So kick back, relax, and let's get started. The crumbling, moss-covered gatehouse stood sentinel at the entrance to the Scottish Highlands. The Airbnb listing, adorned with a single, blurry photograph, boasted a secluded writer's retreat steeped in history. The chipped stone and overgrown path whispered a different story. A cold dread snaked down my spine as I wrestled my backpack through the rusted gate, the only sound the mournful cry of a lone curlew circling overhead. Inside, the gatehouse was a labyrinth of damp, echoing chambers. The air hung heavy with the smell of peat smoke and something metallic, a faint tang that sent shivers down my spine. Ignoring the prickling unease, I unpacked in the single, sparsely furnished room. A worn tapestry depicting a fierce Celtic warrior dominated one wall, his hand gripping a long, ornately carved staff topped with a glowing emerald stone. Exhaustion from the long journey warred with the suffocating atmosphere. Sleep came in restless waves, haunted by dreams of flickering torches and guttural chants echoing across a windswept battlefield. I woke with a start, drenched in sweat. The pre-dawn light filtering through a narrow arrow slit revealed a dusty collection of leather-bound books tucked away in a forgotten corner. Curiosity, a morbid fascination, warred with a deep-seated fear. Hesitantly, I picked up the top book, its cover cold and damp in my hands. The yellowed pages were filled with a sprawling, elegant script, a language that seemed vaguely familiar, but danced just beyond the grasp of my memory. A chill snaked down my spine as I recognized a few symbols that mirrored the intricate carvings on the staff in the tapestry. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized this wasn't a coincidence. The eerie silence, the metallic tang in the air, the disturbing books, a horrifying narrative began to piece itself together. The leather creaked ominously as I flipped through the pages, the strange symbols blurring before my eyes. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind slammed the ancient oak door shut, plunging the room into darkness. A low, guttural moan echoed through the room, the sound vibrating in my bones. Terror surged through me as a ghostly light emanated from the books, the arcane symbols glowing with an unnatural emerald luminescence. The room shimmered, and a figure materialized before me. A towering figure clad in bearskin and archaic leather armor, his face obscured by a feathered helmet. In his skeletal hand, he clutched the glowing staff, its emerald stone pulsing with an otherworldly light. He spoke in the same guttural language from the books, but the intent was clear: a challenge, a demand for the return of a stolen power. Desperate, I lunged for my backpack, a forgotten childhood memory flickering to life. My grandfather, a history buff with a passion for Celtic lore, had once told me stories of ancient warriors bound to their weapons, stories of forgotten spells that could banish or bind. With trembling hands, I rummaged through my bag, pulling out a worn leather journal filled with his meticulous notes. Frantically, I scanned the pages, searching for a counterpoint, a way to break the spectral warrior's hold. My eyes landed on a passage, a series of intricate symbols mirroring those glowing on the staff and in the books. Taking a deep breath, I traced the symbols in the air with my finger, a whisper of power resonating through the room. The spectral warrior recoiled, shielding his eyes from the sudden burst of emerald light emanating from my touch. The room filled with the sound of tortured screams, a cacophony of voices trapped within the books for centuries, warriors bound to their weapons, forced to fight an endless spectral war. The warrior writhed in agony, his form flickering as the screams grew louder. With a final, ear-splitting shriek, the figure dissolved into a cloud of spectral dust, the emerald glow fading. Silence descended, broken only by the rasping of my own breath and the faint rhythmic dripping of water from a hidden leak somewhere in the room. Exhausted and shaken, I collapsed onto the floor, the leather journal clutched tightly in my hand. The books on the floor remained, their arcane symbols now lifeless. Dawn broke, casting a pale light on the crumbling gatehouse. As the rescue helicopter approached, its rotors disturbing the serenity of the ancient landscape, I knew this wasn't just a close call. It was a chilling encounter with a legacy of forgotten magic, a night where the lines between past and present blurred, and I, a simple writer seeking solitude, became entangled in an ancient conflict. The metallic tang lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the price of unearthing forgotten stories and the chilling echoes of those trapped within the leather-bound prisons, forever yearning for release. Weeks later, back in the bustling heart of London, the metallic tang remained a phantom sensation, a constant echo of the spectral battle within the gatehouse. The experience had a profound impact. My writing, once focused on contemporary fiction, took a sharp turn. Haunted by the echoes of the past, my stories became steeped in Celtic lore and whispers of the unseen. Success came unexpectedly. The raw emotion and dark intrigue resonated with readers, and soon, I found myself traveling the world, researching forgotten myths and legends. But with every new adventure, a sliver of unease lingered. The Airbnb listings, once just a source of accommodation, now held a hidden layer of trepidation. Were there more stories waiting to be unearthed? More restless spirits yearning for solace? One rainy afternoon, browsing through a dusty antique shop in Prague, a glint of emerald caught my eye. Nestled amidst a jumble of trinkets lay the ornately carved staff from the gatehouse tapestry, its emerald stone dull but undeniably pulsing with a faint inner light. A cold dread washed over me, but this time, it was laced with a strange sense of responsibility. Bargaining fiercely, I purchased the staff, its weight a familiar burden in my hand. Back in my London flat, I spent weeks researching its origins, deciphering the forgotten symbols etched along its length. The leather journal from my grandfather offered some cryptic clues, hinting at a powerful relic used by Celtic druids to bind and banish malevolent spirits. The metallic tang in the air intensified as I delved deeper, a constant reminder of the dormant power within the staff. Sleep became a battlefield, haunted by visions of spectral warriors and the mournful cries of the battlefield. One night, I woke with a start, the emerald stone glowing an ominous green. Intuition, honed by my recent experiences, told me something was stirring. The news the next morning confirmed my worst fears. A series of unexplained disappearances plagued a remote village nestled in the Scottish Highlands, a place eerily familiar from a blurred photograph I'd seen online. The very same Airbnb listing for my initial encounter. Without hesitation, I booked a flight, the staff clutched tightly in my hand, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The journey back to the gatehouse was shrouded in an unnatural mist. The air crackled with unseen energy, and the mournful cry of the curlew seemed laced with a new urgency. As I approached the crumbling gatehouse, the metallic tang transformed into a suffocating iron fist, squeezing the air from my lungs. The silence was broken only by a low, guttural moan that echoed from within. With a deep breath, I grasped the staff tighter, its emerald light a defiant counterpoint to the oppressive darkness. Pushing open the creaking oak door, I stepped inside. The room was no longer the dusty chamber I remembered. It pulsed with an unnatural green light. The spectral warriors from my dreams materialized and locked in a never-ending spectral battle. Adrenaline surged through me. Raising the staff high, I chanted the words from my grandfather's journal, the forgotten incantation crackling with power. The emerald stone blazed to life, bathing the room in a blinding emerald light. The spectral warriors screamed in agony, their forms dissolving into wisps of spectral dust as the staff's power washed over them. The battle raged for what felt like an eternity, the air thick with the stench of ozone and despair. Finally, with a bone-jarring shriek, the last warrior faded away. Silence descended, heavy and oppressive. Exhausted but exhilarated, I lowered the staff, its emerald light dimming but not extinguished. The following days were a blur of activity. Search parties scoured the surrounding area, eventually finding the missing villagers trapped in a hidden cave, victims of an ancient curse. As for the gatehouse, it became a local legend, a place of both power and peril. I left the staff with the village elders, a failsafe against the darkness. The metallic tang had vanished, replaced by the crisp mountain air. As I boarded the train back to London, I knew this wouldn't be the last encounter with the unseen. The world pulsed with hidden stories, and I, with the staff as my guide and my grandfather's words echoing in my ears, was ready to face them, one chilling tale at a time. Years blurred into a whirlwind of travel and storytelling. The emerald staff became a constant companion, a weightless presence in my backpack, a silent guardian against the whispers of the unseen. My reputation as a writer who blurred the lines between reality and folklore soared. Each new Airbnb a potential portal to another world. One scorching summer afternoon, a listing in the heart of the Australian outback piqued my curiosity. A weathered stone farmhouse, nestled amidst endless red sand dunes, promised an unforgettable Aboriginal cultural experience. The grainy photograph depicted a group of smiling faces in front of the farmhouse, their eyes sparkling with an otherworldly light. A shiver danced down my spine, a prickling unease that I couldn't quite shake. The heat hit me like a physical blow as I stepped out of the rickety plane. The farmhouse loomed before me, its faded paint and crooked windows whispering stories of a bygone era. The air hung heavy with the smell of dry earth and something metallic, a faint tang that now felt familiar, a harbinger of hidden secrets. Ignoring the unease, I unpacked in a room dominated by a massive, ornately carved wooden didgeridoo, its surface adorned with intricate symbols that seemed to writhe and pulse in the flickering lamplight. The metallic tang intensified, a cold dread settling in my stomach. Exhaustion from the journey warred with the suffocating atmosphere. Sleep came in fragmented pieces, haunted by visions of swirling sandstorms and guttural chants echoing across the vast desert plains. I woke with a gasp, bathed in sweat, the pre-dawn light filtering through a dusty window, revealing a collection of ancient-looking stones nestled on a dusty shelf. Curiosity, a morbid fascination, gnawed at me. Hesitantly, I picked up one of the stones, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. Etched on its surface were the same symbols from the didgeridoo, symbols that seemed to writhe and twist under my gaze. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized this wasn't a coincidence. The eerie silence, the metallic tang in the air, the disturbing stones. A chilling narrative began to piece itself together. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind slammed the window shut, plunging the room into darkness. The low, guttural moan echoed through the room, a sound that resonated deep within my bones. Terror surged through me as a ghostly light emanated from the stones, the intricate symbols glowing with an unnatural crimson luminescence. The room shimmered, and figures materialized. A group of Aboriginal warriors, their faces painted with tribal markings, their eyes burning with an ancient rage. They spoke in a language that scraped at the edges of my memory, but the intent was clear: a challenge, a demand for the return of stolen land, a revenge for a long-forgotten injustice. Desperate, I lunged for my backpack, the weight of the staff a comforting presence in my hand. Memories of my experiences with the Celtic warriors and the spectral warriors in the Highlands flooded my mind. There was a pattern, a thread connecting these seemingly disparate events. The staff, with its power to bind and banish, was the key. But this time, something felt different. These weren't empty husks driven by rage, but spirits tethered to a righteous cause. Taking a deep breath, I raised the staff, its emerald light a beacon of defiance. But instead of chanting an incantation of binding, I spoke words of understanding, of respect for their land and their pain. I spoke of the stories that needed to be heard, of the injustice that cried out for recognition. The crimson glow flickered, the warriors' expressions morphing from rage to confusion. The room filled with the murmur of their voices, a cacophony of forgotten stories, of a time when the land and its people lived in harmony. With a gentle sigh, the figures dissolved into wisps of spectral dust, the crimson glow fading. Silence descended, broken only by the rasping of my own breath and the low hum of the desert wind. Exhausted but strangely exhilarated, I collapsed onto the floor, the staff clutched tightly in my hand. Dawn broke, casting a pale light on the weathered farmhouse. As the local ranger arrived, alerted by the sudden storm and my frantic calls, I knew this wasn't just a close call. It was a profound encounter with the weight of history, a night where I learned that some stories weren't meant to be silenced, but unearthed and shared with respect. The metallic tang lingered in the air, a reminder of the price of stolen land and the power of unheard voices. Leaving the farmhouse behind, I carried with me not just the chilling tale of the Aboriginal warriors, but a newfound understanding. The staff remained a powerful tool, but its purpose had evolved. It wasn't just about binding or banishing. It was about bridging the gap between the seen and unseen, between the whispers of the past and the realities of the present. My writing took a new turn. I became a conduit for the stories of the restless, the forgotten warriors, the vengeful spirits, the voices yearning to be heard. My tales wove history and folklore into captivating narratives, raising awareness of injustices and sparking conversations about forgotten cultures. One crisp autumn morning, an email arrived with an intriguing Airbnb listing. An abandoned lighthouse perched on a windswept cliff in Iceland promised an unparalleled experience for nature enthusiasts. The grainy photograph depicted the lighthouse shrouded in swirling mist, its solitary beacon a defiant finger pointed towards the unforgiving sea. A familiar metallic tang danced in the air as I stared at the image, a prickling sensation that sent shivers down my spine. This time, I wasn't afraid. I was ready, armed with my backpack, the staff, and a heart brimming with curiosity. I boarded the plane to Iceland. The journey felt like a homecoming, a pilgrimage to a place where the veil between worlds seemed especially thin. The lighthouse stood defiant against the relentless sea, its white paint peeling and its windows like vacant eyes staring out at the churning waves. The air was thick with the smell of salt spray and something metallic, a tang that now held a strange sense of anticipation. Inside, the lighthouse was a labyrinth of damp, echoing chambers. A dusty logbook lay open on a rickety table, its pages filled with frantic scribblings about a storm of unnatural fury, a monstrous creature rising from the depths, and a final, desperate plea for help. Unease coiled in my stomach, a sense of foreboding that deepened as I climbed the narrow staircase to the lantern room. There, amidst the shattered glass and twisted metal, lay the skeletal remains of a lighthouse keeper, his hand tightly gripping a tarnished silver whistle. As I touched the whistle, the metallic tang intensified, wrapping around me like a shroud. The air crackled with unseen energy, and the room shimmered. A towering figure materialized before me, a leviathan composed of swirling mist and churning seawater, its single glowing eye burning with an ancient rage. The spectral creature roared, a sound that shook the very foundation of the lighthouse. Terror threatened to consume me, but the stories I carried, the voices I had channeled, gave me strength. Raising the staff, I spoke, not with words of binding, but with empathy. I spoke of the loneliness of the sea, of the yearning for connection, of the keeper who had braved the elements for years. The creature's rage faltered, replaced by a flicker of recognition. Images flooded my mind. A once beautiful underwater city, ravaged by pollution and greed. The Leviathan, a protector driven mad by the destruction of its home. Tears welled in my eyes, a mixture of sorrow and understanding. With a mournful cry, the creature dissipated into a swirling mist, the storm outside calming to a gentle breeze. Sunlight streamed through the shattered windows, bathing the room in a golden light. Exhausted but strangely serene, I sat beside the keeper's remains, the silver whistle clutched tightly in my hand. The metallic tang had finally vanished, replaced by the salty scent of the sea, leaving the lighthouse behind. I knew this wasn't just the end of another encounter. It was a reminder that the stories of the unseen are often stories of pain, of a desperate plea for understanding. The staff, a beacon of connection, would continue to guide me, helping me bridge the gap between worlds, one chilling tale and one act of empathy at a time.